Funny story, I've recorded this video, or at least a good chunk of it, already. I just didn't have this thing on. So, bear that in mind. But I wanted to talk about this because, one, I finally managed to see it. I know it's not Spooky Month, but when's that ever been a block to me? And two, because there are things here that, had they been better handled, it would have been a good film. There is no question. So let's talk about Halloween Kills. Directed again by David Gordon Green, who wrote it alongside Scott Teems and Danny McBride. It stars Laurie Strode herself, Jamie Lee Curtis, Judy Greer, Will Patton, Dylan Arnold, who is Theo from You, in case, like me, you were going, I know that face, and three versions of The Shape, being James Dew Courtney, Nick Castle, and Aaron Armstrong. And like I say, this had potential. There were a few things here that I was like, yes, I like this. Whilst I've said in a previous video about legacy sequels, there are moments of, alright, yeah, we know. I think this could have really done a good job of that. The opening bit with 1978, revisiting the night and reframing certain things, I enjoyed. Also, Tom Jones Jr., a normal just member of the staff in most productions, looking at a picture, looks close enough to Donald Pleasance that I'm glad they didn't go the let's resurrect a character Disney style. I think a CGI Donald Pleasance would have felt wrong, but they got someone who looked pretty close, put a bit of makeup on to sell it, and then overdubbed a voice who was good at doing an impression. I like that. I respect that. I think if we can get away without any kind of resurrection of dead characters, whether it be digital or practical, that would be great. But like I say, if it has to be done, if your plot requires it for some bizarre reason, I'd prefer it done like this. But then, of course, we skip to present day, and this is where one of the big issues of the film rears its head. There are many times that the Halloween franchise has gone, ignore what's come before. It's kind of almost like a trope in the franchise now. And then you've got Rob Zombie's duology, which doesn't exist in continuity with anything else. But it keeps doing this. But unfortunately, this has done that. With the previous one, everything aside from the first film doesn't exist, so these two are a continuation of the first one only. So one town who had one night where a few people were killed, and then the guy was incarcerated, up in arms because this demon of the town exists. Now yes, mob mentality is a thing, and this is one of the things that I want to talk about that could have been done better. Mob mentality is a thing, and if you rile people up enough, even if it's not something directly affecting them or that they've really had an issue with, they will get on board. But the whole town being as angry as it is, I don't buy it at all. I did like the fact that we do have Tommy Doyle, who was directly affected, being quite emotional about it and being quite, I guess, to use the word, triggered by the potential resurrection or recurrence of what happened to him as a child. We have a few legacy characters sat there who directly would have been affected, fine. They can be directly affected and they can go after Michael, like Laurie herself, who was tormented. But not like this, not a whole town. And this is, like I say, what I think it got wrong. It forgot that it was meant to forget other sequels, just so it could have this whole thing set in the hospital and everything going crazy there. And then the hospital is one of those moments that I've seen seems to be a polarizing thing, because we see on the news that there are two people who are confirmed to have escaped, being Michael and this other guy who we see later on. I thought it was really sad. This is why I wanted to talk about this video. Because like I say, it is, the monster is us. It slaps us over the face or round the head with it, but it's true. This poor guy who, yes, has still escaped from a secure mental institution, we don't know what he's done. He might be mostly harmless. He might be mostly rehabilitated now. He's asking for help. He's not trying to do anything. He's not trying to do anything malicious. He's not Michael. Yet this whole town is, again, wrongly, for no reason, swept up in this and hunt this guy down to the point that the only way to escape, and a rather brutal beating by a mob, is to jump out of the window. And this has people who were suddenly riled up going, oh, oops. It wasn't handled as well as it could have been. Yes, it got me a little. It did what it set out to do, saying, like, these people are wrong. And it was just, oh well, what's Michael up to? His characterization here is strange. Again, if we're discounting everything that's come before, aside from the first one, he kind of has a mission. It's about going home, really. So why is he making these detours and brutally killing people? In the first one, he didn't really brutally kill many people. He didn't kill many people, full stop. But now he's almost just an animal. They're kind of leaning into that, which again was something that was established in different ones. The Silver Shamrock masks once again make an appearance, which is fine. I love Season of the Witch. I know a lot of people will hate me for that, but I loved it because the idea of Halloween was an anthology. It wasn't meant to be Michael Myers. So I love that film. I love the ideas behind it. I may talk about that on its own at some point. I like that. Those little nods are fine. But when it's bringing in legacy characters and forgetting its own purpose, its own intent to forget everything aside from the first one, it fails. Now, yes, we will have Halloween Ends. It's already been done. There's no way around it, unfortunately. And maybe this is going to be the dip in a trilogy before we get to a brilliant ending. I enjoyed the previous one. It did fine for what it was trying to do. But this dropped the ball. And like I say, I just really hope that it picks up. Jamie Lee Curtis has gone, yeah, it's amazing. But she said this was a masterpiece too. And I think she's been nudged to not talk down the film, and makes sense. Why would you? Do you want to get yourself blacklisted? I know she's probably got enough set aside that she doesn't need to work much, but she doesn't want to screw herself over, or her family, of course. But yeah, I don't think this fulfilled the promise that it should have done. And I mean, if you really love this film, fine. I'm not going to say you can't, but you're wrong. But that's what I'm going to say about Halloween Kills. And like I say, let's hope the end cap of the trilogy rescues it. So thank you very much for watching, and as always, until next time, take care.